Salut YouTube! Welcome to the Romanian Academy. Today we have an easy topic. Not too much stress. You can learn it in a lunch break if you feel like it. Of course, that is true only if you know something about the present tense and its conjugations already. Otherwise, there's not much else to say really about this. The EA conjugation is quite easy to master. I wouldn't say it's the easiest, but it's probably the second easiest. Except for a few irregularities here and there, it's quite straightforward. Check out the markers down below to find a specific topic and help this channel in the way you see fit, either by liking it, giving feedback, subscribing, or sharing it with other Romanian enthusiasts. That's it. Let's go straight ahead into conjugation 2. So, verbs in conjugation 2, verbe cu conjugarea a doua, EA. Let's do it like that, so it's not confusing. Extensive edition. So, like in the conjugation 1 video, I'm gonna talk about the main ideas around the conjugation and also some tips, tricks, and common mistakes, and also some irregularities that maybe you haven't heard about or you haven't thought of, or maybe at some point you have come across those irregularities and you are surprised, like, why is that happening? Without further ado, let's jump in. Sorry for that. As always, we have some caveats, some things for you to be aware of before you even start learning it. The main pattern that I mentioned in the beginning, it is also very similar to the main pattern in conjugation A, and it's the no ending pattern. Now, for the second one, there are many phonetic changes, as there will be very frequently with the verbs in present tense, and that is, as I mentioned in the conjugation 1 video, because of the suffix, the ending addition to the root, and they quite frequently happen here in the yo-to and yel-ya forms. They are not determining other different conjugation patterns. As you remember maybe from the A conjugation, when it ends in EZ, or even with no conjugation, you have some variations depending on the last few letters. So that will not happen in the EA conjugation. Then there are not a lot of verbs in the conjugation. That's probably the lucky. We're lucky to have this caveat here, because even though you might see a lot of irregularities happening with the verbs that are in this conjugation, you will not have a lot, and specifically you will not have a lot that you will use in this conjugation. By that I mean verbs like to sit, to lie down. They are probably not the verbs that you will learn in the first couple of months, maybe, or in the first couple of levels in Romania. Then it seems like an easy conjugation at first because of this no ending rule, but it has some tricks to be aware of that we're going to talk about in a second. And finally, a few important irregular verbs are in this conjugation, like a avea, a vrea, a bea. Those are, as I said previously, in comparison to verbs like a zecea or a ședea, obviously you will want to use to have, to want, to drink quite frequently. So it's very important to be aware of this and to know exactly how to conjugate it, because each one of them individually they are quite different. Now, how to do a conjugation in the second in EA, ending in EA. You need to know what the root of the verb is, like always. Then you have only one conjugation pattern, so you don't have the EZ equivalent of the conjugation 1, And then the ye yele form is the same as the yo form. This is different compared to the first conjugation, so be aware of that as well. Let's take a pen and say big caution here, and let's move to some common verbs. As I said, there are not a ton of them, but still a few that are quite useful to know. I grouped them into 3 categories, and in the first one you see here there are the regular ones. So basically, coming back to this principle, it's like the standard no ending pattern. Then you have the irregular ones, and then you have a common, like a couple of very common verbs. I don't know what that shape is. I got carried away, but there are a couple of very common verbs like to seem and to like that you don't use them as you might think in Romanian. So we're going to talk about each of them individually, and compared to conjugation A, here those irregularities and exceptions, specifically this 2 and 3, are not exactly as they used to be in verbs with conjugation A. So what I mean by that, even though you know this regular form of conjugating the verbs in EA, you really should learn the other 2 as well, because they are quite important verbs and you will commonly use them. What I mean by reflexive and impersonal, I'm not going to get in detail right now, but I'm going to conjugate them for you to show you how to use to seem and to like. Finally here, the roots are very straightforward. So taking all the verbs from here on the left and conjugate them on the right, removing the ending on the right. You have a vedea, which would seem normal to be ved, apărea, which would seem normal to be apăr, and so on. As you see with pretty much all of them apart from shed, there are phonetic changes. So this, as I said here, roots will frequently change their inside vowel. So let's take anything, like doesn't really matter which one. So first one, yeah, a vedea. If you remove EA, which is the ending, you're left with ved, which, because of the conjugation and also because of phonetics, which I'm not going to talk too much about phonetics in those videos. There will be separate videos talking about phonetics, but you will get VED. You'll get VED, and you'll need to put an here. The E changes to a. And those are actually all the yo forms. Those one on the right, or shed for a ședea. So the root is, as it used to be with the first conjugation, also the yo form and also the ye form, but there will be phonetic changes to be aware of. Very important this point here. Cool. And now that we talked about all of those rules, principles, and caveats, we can move on to how to actually conjugate them. Again, to be aware of what I'm going to do in the next minutes. Irregular verbs, such as a vedea, to see, a apărea, to show up, a zăcea, to lie down, a tăcea, to keep quiet or to shut up, a ședea, to sit, another form of saying to sit. And those will be what I'm going to talk about in terms of regular verbs. Then the very regular ones, avea, a vrea, a bea, will be all talked about in the second part. And finally, the strange things that happen with the a părea and a plăcea, to seem and to like. We'll have some warnings at the end, but until then, let's go to see how to conjugate regular verbs in EA. Let's take, we had a vedea earlier. Let's take, for example, a tăcea. So we have tăcea, right? So the rule of doing this is, again, same as with previous or with other conjugations. You need the root. So to get the root, you remove the conjugation ending, so no EA. You have T, C, tuck. But as we talked about in the roots rules, many verbs in this conjugation will have a change in the middle vowel, or the middle letter actually, because there's only one vowel. So this T, tuck, will become tuck. So this will be the yo form. And looking at the blue rule, also will be the yay form. How do you do the to form? Oh, obviously you will add the I. How do you do the el-ia form? You add the I, tace. Here on the noi form, if you know conjugations or you watched other videos where I talk about conjugations, and probably would be good to check the A conjugation as well. I'll leave a link somewhere here. The noi form resets to the actual infinitive. So it will not be tak here. From noi, it will start over again with tak, and will be tăceam. And the voi form respects the same rule, tăceți. This is a common pattern, so along the ye, ele, that takes the form of either yo or el-ia, this rule that verbs in present tense reset completely starting the noi form and then applies the same to the voi form, those are patterns that you should be aware of. A difference compared to the A form is that here, here, and here you'll have every time an E. El, noi, voi, they are all E endings, not A or A derivatives endings. It will not be an here as it used to be in the A conjugation, neither here, and not an A here. So every time in the EA conjugation you will have E. That's pretty much it. Applies the same rule applies to all verbs here on the right. Now moving to the irregular verbs. So here there's not much to talk about really about the way they conjugate, because they are irregular, right? That's what irregular means. They are different from any pattern or rule that was commonly used in previous conjugations. There are some things to be aware of and some patterns that still kind of stay. Let's have a look at avea. You have am, ai, are. So this I will always be there, and the E is also there. Yeah, because we're talking about the EA conjugation that in the el-ia form takes the E. Then avem, this is regular, this is fully regular. As you see, many noi and voi forms will be regular with em at the end. Yeah. And then au in ei, ele, irregular. Cool. Moving to avrea and abia, you can see that both of them have, let me keep this there. So both of them have a u form in the singular, in the eu form. So this is not something new. There are many other places where there is a u in the eu form. So this shouldn't be extremely surprising. It's irregular, you'll get the u. Then in the tu form, you have an I. And in the elia, you have actually the infinitive, right? So vrea and bea. This is exactly the infinitive. So this doesn't respect the rule of having an e at the end. You'll get an ea. Again, noi, voi, regular, and then vor for they want, and beau for they drink. Here for abea, you see these blue asterisks. They respect the rule from the EA conjugation. And why did I put this first asterisk here? Because actually this is a very, very big and important rule to be aware of. Au and vor, so a avea and a vrea in the ei ele form are the only two verbs irregular in the ei ele forms. What does that mean? Basically, every other verb in ei ele will have, as you see here, either a form of eu or of elia. But the controls, that doesn't work ideally in Microsoft Whiteboard. Anyways, so the ei ele form in avrea and avea, completely different. Au and vor. Right, so for the third and final point here in terms of how to use EA conjugation verbs, we're talking about black magic. So what does that mean? Verbs commonly used in a reflexive or impersonal form. Just to make this a bit more clear, even though probably this will not mean much right now, reflexive apărea, which is a sepărea, and this makes it reflexive, and then finding a different color. Impersonal, ai plăcea, this I here. That's what impersonal means. That's how you get the infinitive. Because you have the infinitive as a normal verb, but then you can have the infinitive as a reflexive or impersonal verb. I'm not going to talk too much about that right now. I'm just going to tell you how to use to seem and to like in Romanian. Because this is how you think about to seem. Might be a părea, but it's actually a se părea, because in English, for example, you say it seems that. Oops, I cannot write. It seems that. So how to say that in Romanian? Well, you use se, and in order to conjugate părea, we saw it above here. It's the same rule from this. So it seems, it will be the elia form. You change the letter from here. Părea becomes par. So adding the e pare. So se pare means it seems. So you don't say pare. You don't just say pare usually in Romanian. When you say it seems, you say se pare, and normally you would put a k after that because in English as well you would say it seems that. So se pare că, and then if you really want to be specific to whom it seems, yeah, so in English you might have it seems to me, or well, or to you, or whatever. So you would add here in front me, ți, I, and then ni, vi, le. Sorry, li. All of them are with I. So what do those mean? I know they might look strange, but this is how to say in Romanian, it seems to me that, mi se pare că. Yeah. That's a separa. So if you want to say, it seems to me that the dog is far away, you would say mi se pare că, and normally you wouldn't say this in Romanian because you have a cacophony, you have two words with că or ca. So mi se pare că câinele este departe. Cool, so that's a separa. This is how to use apărea, a separa, it seems. And then let's talk about ai plăcea. Here you don't normally use a plăcea, you need this form, to like. And in order to use it, you do a conjugation first, yeah? So you have plac, hopefully you are aware of that already. And place, because in Romanian you actually have the logic of it likes to me. Very, very strange, right? To me, to you, whatever. But this is how to use it in Romanian. You say it likes to me. Place is it likes. As I said, you should be aware it's the same idea like pare. And then you have other pronouns that you add in front. Which is to me. Îți, which is to you. Îi. Oops. That's an ă. And then ne, vă, and le. So to say I like, you say îmi place. Okay, very, very important. Because this one is very common, right? This is a very common verb. Maybe if you think about it, seems it's not so common, but to like, you use that very, very, very often. And also to like has a plural form, because you can like one thing, so this is singular, but you can like many things, which is the yay form, yeah? From here, place, yeah, and plac. So, plac, plural. So to say I like, you say îmi place. If you say I like chocolate, you say îmi place ciocolata. If you say I like cats, you say îmi plac pisicile. And that's about it with the black magic stuff. I hope it makes sense. If not, please leave a comment and ask me more about it. I'm happy to answer any comment and clarify whatever is needed about this. Now, finally, there is something to be aware of. There are verbs in EA that are from conjugation 1. Again, I really recommend you watching that video. a crea, a recrea, a procrea, a grea. All of those are actually in conjugation 1. Why? Because this A, you will see in a second, it is the one who dictates the conjugation. And it's also in the way you split it into syllables. That's maybe the easiest way to think about it. If it's split into syllables like crea, recrea, procrea, agrea, yeah, so because this is the way of splitting it into syllables, you will get the A that decides in which conjugation we are in. And also all the kya and gya verbs, supraveghea and perechea. Again, this has to do with the phonetics. Both of those are about phonetics. In this specific case, supraveghea, this is all together a sound, and kya as well. So you will not have an e, a separately, you'll have a kya or you have a gya. However, a quick recap, very quick recap. Be aware of this rule and you'll be fine. Also learn the irregular verbs. I would say those 2 points are the main points. Learn the regular verbs and the irregular verbs. If you know those, you know 90%, 95% of the second conjugation. Also be aware it's quite an easy conjugation if you are aware of how this no conjugation rule works. And also the patterns are very important and will help you a lot in the future if you know exactly where the yele comes from and which letter is chosen for those 3, which is E, as you see here. Apart from that, I think if you go through this video and stop it every now and then, that could help you. And you'll see more patterns and rules in the videos to come. Thank you very much for watching this. I'm Stefan from the Romanian Academy. I hope you found it useful. I am very happy to hear all your feedback, whether it's about improving the lessons or telling me what exactly you liked about this video, so I can use it further in the future videos. I wish you have a great day. Please don't forget to help this channel as we see fit, whether it is by liking it, joining it, basically joining this community by clicking the subscribe button, or sharing it with your friends. Also, just so you know, I offer classes or both personal classes or in group classes if you check the links below for Calendly. That's how you can talk about it and we can make a customized plan. Also, we have a Discord community if you want to join. Again, the link is down below. You can ask questions there if you don't want it to be public. For example, it is on YouTube. So that's it. La revedere.